Hello again, friends. Today I'm going to walk you through how to draw these dwarf narcissus flowers. I planted them a few years ago, and if I remember correctly, they're called minnow daffodils. Plucked these tiny blooms from my yard today, and I thought I could walk you through how to draw them in just a few simple steps. To get started, you'll need only a few things, starting with a sheet of paper. I like using watercolor paper or mixed media paper since it holds ink well. You'll want a sketching pencil, a fine tip black pen like this Micron pen by Secura of America, and a kneadable eraser. I like these ones because they don't rub away ink lines and they don't leave behind eraser crumbs, so there's no mess to clean up. Okay, so grab your pencil and let's get started. I'm going to draw a little cluster of 3 blooms, and I want to arrange them so it looks like we're observing them from above, almost like you plucked a little bouquet and are looking down at them in your hand. So I've got 3 circles that will become the blooms, with some smaller circles drawn inside them for the center of the narcissus. Now I'm going to add some pointed, narrow leaves around the blooms just where I want to fill in some of the blank space. The leaves are really narrow and long and not super interesting, so I might want to add in a little fern or a different type of leaf later on to add some contrast, but for now I'm happy with the overall shape of this little floral cluster, so let's move on to inking the outlines. I usually like to start by drawing the center of the flowers, as it serves as a good reference point for when you start adding in the petals. So here I've come in and started outlining the center of the narcissus blooms with a circle made up of a wiggly line. The bloom to the right of the page is the one on an angle, so it's a bit more of an oval shape, and I'm going to add in a curved line to the bottom of it because you can see a bit of the side. Next, we can add in the stamen of the narcissus, which is where the pollen is. We're just going to add a couple of tiny circles to each center. Now we can start outlining the petals. There are 6 petals on each of these flowers, and each one has a little pointed tip. I like layering the petals in 3s, starting with an evenly spaced layer of 3 petals, and then closing the gaps with another layer of 3, which will be partially hidden by the first layer of petals. Once the petals are in place, we can come in and add an outline to the leaves that we're sketching out here. Keep them narrow with a pointed tip. Okay, so the outline is done, which means it's time to start adding the details and bringing this piece to life. I'm going to start adding the details to the center of the narcissus blooms by drawing a line under some of the wiggly curves we added to the center circle of each flower. Once we add in some more line work, this will help to make it look like these parts of the bloom are curved inwards. The lines I'm drawing here are concentrated toward the center sigma or stamen of the flower to help create depth. You want to imagine any parts of the flower where there might be a shadow or where it might be a bit darker, for example the center of the bloom or anywhere the petals overlap, and concentrate your line work to those spots. Notice how I'm just using really light, quick lines here. Don't spend too much time overthinking your line work. Again, just keep things light and quick, and your drawing will start to pop off the page. Once I have the center details done, I'm going to add a few quick lines to the side part of the center that's showing, keeping the lines toward the base or where the center meets the petals. Now we can start adding some details to the petals. Keep your lines light and again concentrate them to the spots where you'll find a shadow, like toward the base of the petals where they meet the center, or any spots a petal overlap one another. Leave some white space on each petal, as this will help to create depth and make it look like the petals have a curve to them. Now onto the leaves. These leaves are really simple to draw as they are so narrow and just have a few veins running down the length of each of them. You can draw this by just adding some solid and some broken lines down the length of the leaves that you're drawing. By keeping a few of the lines broken, you again have that little bit of white space that helps create the look that they might be catching light in those spots, and it helps to add depth and dimension to the piece. Try to keep your lines here in the leaves a bit closer together than in the petals, as this way they'll appear darker as they are in real life. Grab your eraser and get rid of any visible pencil lines. Kneadable erasers are great because they don't seem to fade the ink lines the way other erasers do when you rub over top of them. And like I mentioned before, you don't get those eraser crumbs that you have to clean up. Okay, so you can totally finish up here, but now that I'm looking at this piece, it doesn't look quite finished to me. I want to add in another type of little leaf, I think just to fill in some of the blank spaces around the blooms and to add a bit more contrast and interest. If you watched my How to Draw Leaves tutorial, you'll recognize this as my parallel lines leaf. I'll link that tutorial here if you want to go back and watch in more detail. I'm going to draw in a few sprigs here and add a few detail lines to the leaves, and now I think I'm done. So I just drew these little narcissus or dwarf daffodils in just a few simple steps that I know you can apply to all sorts of flowers. I hope you enjoyed watching or drawing along with me today, and if you did, I'd love to see what you created. Feel free to send me a picture on Instagram. My handle is here, and it's also linked below in the video description as well. And if there's a flower that you'd like to see in a tutorial, let me know in the comments and I'll add it to my list. Until next time, bye-bye.